Good evening. Happy Monday.
Sneezy,
Atreyu?
happy Monday. How you doing today, man?
Good. Busy. Work's busy. Web3's busy. Everything's busy. But it's awesome.
Dude, it's awesome. There is so much cooking right now. Man, it is every week. It's such a good week to be part of it all. So yeah, I feel that. Busy is an understatement.
Oh, it's like I tell my boss at work, I'm like, there are worse problems to have than us being extremely busy. There are worse problems for us to have than having a lot of stuff to cover in a Monday recap.
And boy, do we have a recap. We have such a good, I think, episode 17 here. So I am excited to jump into, I think what's going to be a great episode. If this is your first time here, welcome to Aptos After Dark, where we discuss everything going on Aptos over the past week, every week, joined with awesome people each and every week. Hosted by myself, Atreyu, and Sneezy. Welcome. Also, first-time listeners, anyone interested in Aptos in general, please like and subscribe on the YouTubes. We're out there. Just give a good old search of Aptos After Dark if you somehow aren't aware of that.
Yo, let's go. Like and subscribe on YouTube. Takes 2 seconds. Come on, guys. Let's grow this. Same thing. Anybody you see creating Aptos content on YouTube, throw it a like, give it a listen. Let's go. I'm going to hit you with the disclaimer, though. You're not going to find any financial advice here. None of us are financial advice. Just a bunch of cool people talking about a bunch of cool stuff going on in the ecosystem. If you are interested in anything that we are talking about, get yourself a Petra wallet and have fun.
Let's go, dude. Let's go. We got this locked down. That was flawless. Absolutely flawless. 17 episodes in, I'm feeling confident that we've now cracked the intro. Feeling good about that. Let's go. Welcome, everybody. Yeah, we're going to be talking a lot about a bunch of things, everything Aptos.
We'll find out if I finally said something correct.
And yeah, we have some awesome guests joining us today from Econia. So I know we're going to be jumping into that in a second, but it's Sneezy. I'll pass back to you on anything we want to touch on first, or how we're going to run through today's very packed agenda.
Let's give Alex a couple minutes, get himself situated, and you want to hit. I think we hit the ecosystem updates right off the hop. Shout out to Christina Tinto for getting her weekly update in just in time for us to highlight it on the show.
And
let's go. Yeah, not gonna lie, another bullish week. Just looking at the numbers.
Another bullish week, and yeah, huge shout out to Christina. Like she's coming in super clutch for Aptos After Dark, where it really like 1 hour before the show, just posting all this awesome data. But yeah, I mean, 12 million transactions over the past week, over 1 million active users, welcoming just over 790,000 net new users to the family, with 25 new smart contracts gone live, and over 11.7 thousand NFT sales. I mean, it sounds pretty damn good to me.
Dude, I feel like we do this every week. Which number stands out to you this week?
Definitely new users. I feel like close to 800,000 new users in a week is kind of is that the way is that the correct? Yeah, welcoming 790,000 new users. Like I feel like that's a pretty huge number, no?
That's big. No, because the million jumps off the page to me, but almost 800,000 of those million look to be new users.
It's kind of insane. I don't know. Yeah.
Shout out to, I think, yeah, we'd still be seeing it in this week from Tapos.
Just to put perspective, episode 16, we shared, again, episode 16 was also the record-breaking week where we discussed all that amazing chaos. Do you remember how many new users were in episode 16, Sneezy?
I want to say 600 and change.
350 new users, 350K. So I don't know, this past week, we almost, that's it's pretty ridiculous growth. I don't know, as far as new user acquisition is concerned for the chain and Aptos in general. It's kind of insane, actually. Yeah, with an 80% jump in just percentage of active users week over week. So let's freaking go. Anyway, wow. Bullish much? And you said you were jumping out with a million mark?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
just a
I mean,
million active users in a week.
like what?
Man, it feels like yesterday. It feels like yesterday when we were just talking about how Aptos can handle these kind of numbers.
And here we are, just like just casually talking about it. I don't even know. Last week was like the craziest episode of all time because we went through the insane TPS, and all of that. And now this week we're just like, oh, okay, wow. Talk about sustaining velocity and momentum. Aptos crushing it right now. It's a pretty awesome time. I don't know. That's a number to get excited about. I think someone posted about how some people don't get excited about TVL, and there's a whole debate about that. But like, if I see new users and active users jumping like this week over week, I don't know. That's something I don't think anyone can argue that they're going to get excited about. But that's just my take. I don't know. It's an opinion, I guess, right?
Hold on. There's one that I think Oxham made on his dashboard, just showing where users are going.
You want me to pin this?
I got it.
Okay. Let's go.
I'm glad you guys are opening up with all the metrics talk. I think
Oh yeah.
I think that Web3 has some interesting metrics problems, maybe because everything is like not necessarily Sybil resistant. I could theoretically write a bot that just generates a bunch of new addresses and places an Econia transaction with those, or volume on some AMM DEX, or like TVL is kind of tricky too because it's hard to say like, well, how much of it is incentivized, how much of it goes away when it's not incentivized. I've been thinking lately about like what metrics do we have in Web3 that are not gameable and I think another important question is like which ones are not currently being gamed by people who are airdrop farming, especially in an early ecosystem. I think there's a lot of anticipation for future airdrops, so we can expect that there are people who are like trying to farm these things to death. And I've been thinking too, like when it comes to TVL and volume and all these things that people cite as success metrics, I think that when I consider like what is success and what is promise for a blockchain, I think about what is going to attract the next people to build on it, to attract more developer and user retention. And for some reason, I can't help but just get stuck on like technical specifications as really the only like the most meaningful thing. Because if I'm from the outside and I'm trying to evaluate some chain, like let's say I'm even like JP Morgan Chase, I don't really care how much TVL, how much volume, how much economic anything is on there. Because if my tech team builds out an integration, I'm going to bring all the liquidity with me. I'm going to bring all the market demand. I have all the distribution channels set up. So all I really need them to like I just need my tech team to sign off on like, hey, do we want to build here or not? And then at that point, it's just like tech specs. That is the chain like live most of the time? Does it like crunch transactions in parallel? What is the peak throughput? What is the peak sustained throughput? And how much gas am I going to expect to pay per transaction? I think that's honestly what matters more in terms of the new developers and new users, because the tricky part is just so much of this is not Sybil resistant. I think layer 0 had this issue, and I know that Eigenlayer too, like during their airdrop, they tried to put in these like pretty big Sybil resistance mechanisms, and then at least in the case of Eigenlayer, ended up walking back a little bit on them. And then with layer 0, when they cut out the people who were like detectably Sybiling, the numbers went down to like 10% of what had been before. And so it makes me think like, can we just throw out all the metrics that are potentially Sybilable? And if we can, then what is left? And to me, it just seems like technical specifications, which in my case, like I'm cool with, because the reason I'm building here is because the tech specs are out of this world. And I'm obviously glad to talk more about that. But in terms of the economic metrics, I think that some of the data that's coming out is just highlighting some really important issues with Web3 and how we can diagnose things and what things are worth trying to diagnose and which things maybe wouldn't be as worth trying to diagnose.
Spot on, Alex, and welcome to the stage. I mean, you're pretty spot on. It's the ongoing always issue of Web3 and Sybil resistance, and how that is just still existent. So I think you're hitting the nail on the head as far as like the success metrics that basically are highlighted here, but also I think we also try and touch on like NFT volume and sales, and I think it's like everyone takes their own grain of salt when it comes to metrics and how they perceive what's success or not, right? So yeah, I think, but what you're saying isn't wrong either, as far as Sybil and Sybil resistance being pretty much across the board with pretty much all of Web3, especially if you're including incentivized like success metrics. It's pretty interesting to hear that perspective too.
Oh yeah,
Because no one ever highlights it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like kind of naysaying, honestly. I mean, that's probably why it doesn't get highlighted as much. But I think there's something too to be said about qualitative metrics, like, and maybe you can't quantify this to some extent. Like, how many quality projects are there? Like, how many things do users actually enjoy using? And maybe you can do like sentiment scrapers on Twitter, and maybe this would be more useful. But then again, like how many bots are there on Twitter? Is that simple? Like, if there's a lot of people saying I love this product and I'm not getting paid any kind of incentives and I'm not farming this airdrop, I just like using this, and wow, this isn't possible on another chain. I think that's huge. That to me is like a qualitative data point that is much more important than like, some triple digit APR on some lending pool that is happening right now because of temporary incentives. I think the tricky part is that those temporary incentives can be used to bootstrap an ecosystem, and they have been done before. But when you're evaluated in terms of longevity, I think, and especially when it gets into this like kind of adversarial stats touting, which I think happens between ecosystems, like, well, my ecosystem that I identify as a member of has this, yours only has this. And if it gets to that point, then like you can poke holes, I think, in a lot of these metrics, unfortunately, if it's like incentivized economic data, or if there's a Sybil metric. But I don't know if you can necessarily poke holes in like, hey, all these people, all these builders like using this product. They like the developer experience. They're raving about it. And then you can also talk about hardline technical specifications that are not like Sybilable, are not fakeable, are not economically incentivized. And I think there's probably some delicate balance in there of what is worth touting it, for the right audience and whatnot. But yeah, I think
how do we get a NPS score across the ecosystem? That's, I think, what you're kind of saying in some essence. But like, as far as social NPS for Aptos chain or projects within the chain, I think it's a good perspective. It's quantifying the qualitative information and sentiment.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I think sentiment is an important part. I think that then you have to look at the like, what is the weak link in there, and obviously like I believe in Aptos, that's why I'm here. Like, I don't want to be a naysayer, but I also am like kind of a scientist, and so I'm trying to think in terms of like falsification. And if someone's going to put out there like a hypothesis, I'm like, it's my first instinct to think about like, how can this hypothesis fail? Maybe that comes from trying to design smart contracts. Think about how things could fail. And in terms of data integrity, yeah, like TVL volume. If you have one anon that builds two protocols and they rehypothecate the total value locked into another one and it looks like it's double counting, well then like there's a problem with it. And can you like, obviously if some chain has like billions of dollars of TVL and some other chain has like tens of thousands, like, okay, you can definitely know there's some difference. Like, this is not just mercenary activity. But when things are like within an order of magnitude, maybe even two, I think that's probably like a lot more smushy in terms of what you can really draw conclusions from. I think that like there is definitely an interesting case to be made for drawing some kind of like qualitative metric, or maybe like not necessarily like strictly like quantitative, but more like, yeah, like sentiment scraping, even from GitHub. Like, that could potentially be a good way to measure developer retention or like embrace of the ecosystem. I know that Electric Capital puts out these reports all the time about commits and who's making commits, but like, even in my case, I can talk more about that, because in like one of the Econia, the Econia repo that uses like our pull requests all use merge commits. So the idea is like, if I add some new feature, and let's say like while I'm working on this feature, I incrementally do like 50 changes, and then I group them into one batch, that shows up as 50 commits, right? But in a different repo we're working on, when we just started working on, we use squash commits. So those 50 commits I worked on are now tracked in the main branch as just one commit. It's easier for like diff tracking, and we all know which pull request is linked with it. Okay, so then right there, you just have like a 50x difference, and it's like, okay, my repo has this many commits, yours has 50x less, and it's like, no, that's because you're using merge commits and I'm using squash commits. But if you look at something different, like, the comments from the developers on there, or you look at how many like stars people have and who's following who, you could probably do some kind of social graph on GitHub. I think that's probably a good way to find like developer stickiness in some sense.
The Sybil problem and the ability to not gamify things is what you're highlighting across the board in general, right? Like, you just 50x your metric, if that is the metric, by just a way of like deploying. And then you have to agree, everyone has to agree that they're going with a certain route, if that is the route, right? It's a much more difficult problem for sure to get to an agreement across an entire ecosystem, let alone one single chain, right? Like if that's actually something to consider. I mean, it's can you even imagine? Oh wow, just like trying to get every project to just go with a certain way of committing. Oh boy.
Yeah, or even within one project. Like when I do pull requests into Aptos Core, sometimes the like Aptos Labs employee merges it using a merge commit. Sometimes they do a squash commit, and so sometimes it actually like you have these two conflicting things even within the same repo. And I remember when we started newer repos, and we're like, hey, we're gonna we want to experiment. We're gonna try this new squash thing and see if it makes diff tracking easier. We'll do rebase instead of merging, and like we just want to continuously iterate and experiment everything. And but one thing that it was like kind of drawing me back was, oh, but like it's going to look like we have less commits in the repo, and that's like not good for our metric.
That's bad.
Yeah, right. And I was like, oh man, that like number go down, but we're writing the same amount of code, and ultimately it ends up being better for maintainability. So I like, to me, it's just like, oh, okay, so now if some repo has like however many thousand commits, I'm like, all right, you're probably doing merge commits instead of squash commits or whatever. And yeah, it just highlights to me the metric thing. And again, I think like takes it back to this question of what cannot be faked. And I think in faked, I would include this proxy of like incentivized, I would say too. And to me, it like comes down to like hard line, like peak TPS on the cluster, or benchmarked in a repeatable way. Like I think end-to-end finality in production, I think that's actually a very meaningful metric. That was recently what came out from Aptos Labs, the sub-second end-to-end finality, because that
Yep.
is like in some sense unfakeable and
Yep.
unsubable. It's like I can spin up 20 new accounts, and it doesn't matter that I'm like maybe faking new user numbers, but at least I'm not faking end-to-end sub-second finality. That's the kind of thing that is repeatably like demonstrable. So that kind of thing is useful. And again, with like tech specs, if I'm like, say I'm trying to pitch to JP Morgan Chase, I'm gonna be like, this is how much you will pay per transaction. They're like, all right, this is how many we have per day. Like maybe they don't need to fill up all the block space, but they just want to keep gas costs low. You can at least quantify like, okay, well, if you write to this many regions of global state, if you use this data structure, this is what it'll cost. And they're like, okay, cool. I don't believe or care about any of your like economic numbers, but I want my tech team to approve this. So yeah, we'll integrate. Thank you for giving me like actually the specification data sheet, which is kind of how I see it. I mean, like the blockchain is in some sense like a microcontroller that's just running all around the world at one time. And actually, it's
No big deal.
yeah, I mean it's almost the same thing as a PIC32 microcontroller. I don't know if anyone's familiar with that here, but I used to do embedded systems processing. I checked in with one of my professors when I was in Palo Alto earlier in the year. I was like, hey, what processor are you guys using for the class now? And he says, we're using the PIC32. You can't do floating point operations in hardware, and it only has 64K of memory. And I'm like, well, I'll tell you, the Move VM can't do floating point operations. It's only integers, and it's got a 64K transaction limit. So it's like right now, the computer that is the Aptos blockchain is running at the same scale as the PIC microcontroller, which is like decades old, but it's running all around the world in lockstep, which is the like 0 to 1 step function and in performance that's actually required. And so to me, it just like provides more room for optimism, because then like we can assume that some kind of Moore's or like at least log-ling rule applies to this. And like, okay, in 18 months throughput doubles, another 18 months throughput doubles again. I think the really cool part about where we're at right now with Aptos and like blockchains, especially high performance one generally, is that the hardware is already kind of there. Like it's just software. When like tech version 1 was going on in the 60s and 70s, and like Windows and Microsoft and like they were iterating together, and like these different computer manufacturers like increasing the number of transistors on the chip while the software was getting optimized to use all those things. But we already have these ridiculously fast GPUs, and even CPUs. Like Aptos actually is optimized for CPUs, and so that hardware is already there. Cloud compute is already cheap. Storage is already cheap. RAM is a little bit more expensive, but you can still throw the whole Merkle tree in there and it fits. And so we really just need like better software that just leverages all this. And so that actually I think makes it much easier, because it takes that like so much of the R&D out of the picture, and people are already going to be building better hardware and everything. All right, Sneezy. Sorry, I've been ramming. Sneezy, what's up?
Bro,
Bro.
no, honestly, it's so cool. I love being the dumbest person in the room, and I don't mean that insincerely. I mean that sincerely. Like listening to you and Atreyu just bounce back and forth is unreal. A lot of it's over my head. I want to bring it back a little bit to the fifth graders like myself. So not to get caught up in the numbers, but and I guess the Sybil is inevitable in these kinds of things. But I look to like the million NFT mint, and I look to what happened with Tapos, and I understood about 4/10 of the conversation you and Atreyu just had. But what I speak is that all of this was happening, whether it was real users or bots, whoever was doing it, all of these transactions per second were happening, and my gas was unaffected and my speed was unaffected. And I think that's kind of the same view that, like you're talking about with these massive money managers and stuff. The technical stuff is whatever. They want to know that wherever they're going to build, wherever they sink that liquidity, is going to be able to handle their network transactions. At the end of the day, that's the concern. I don't think they care. Well, they do care. Their tech teams care, but the people with the actual money, they just want the best way to execute their transactions. And if they can do it faster and cheaper on Aptos, that is where it's going to be.
I'm glad you brought up the a million NFT mint example, because I think that's a perfect like application of that idea. Like, it doesn't matter if it's simple. Like, it doesn't matter if all these a million NFTs are like going to one person or like never get bought or whatever. Like, in theory, this could be simple, but I still think it's impressive because you're still doing a million serial counters in a parallel transaction execution environment, and it's still creating them. And same thing with Tapos. Like, it doesn't matter if it's like 3 people just trying to airdrop farm. Like, they're still doing 1,000 TPS per second, and that's still a lot on a mainnet
Exactly. It
cluster.
doesn't matter who
Yeah,
or what it is. The
yeah.
chain handled it, boss. Like, I wasn't, I took part in Tapos, but I wasn't, like, some people had it on auto tap and all that stuff. I did it when I had free time. But the biggest thing to me was that while all these transactions per second were taking place, I was doing other stuff on the chain, and I was completely unaffected by what was being done.
Yeah, that one was great. I remember when actually I learned about Tapas, I think just from looking at the Explorer, because my engineers and I we're like looking at stuff on the engineering call. We actually noticed one slightly before that. I think it was called DDoS APT. And when Tapas came out, I remember we were like reading the code on the Explorer and looking at their 2x's, and we're like, are these the same people? Or did Tapos or Tapas, like, did they look at the DDoS APT website and maybe like be like, oh, there's some good design content in here. Let's like modify some of it or use it, because they were like so similar. And I remember the reason we found DDoS APT is because we were working together. I was in Palo Alto working out of the Aptos Labs office because I had just given a talk at an accelerator program for MoveX. And so I was working with one of my engineers who's based there, and we're on the Explorer, and like every third or fourth transaction is this DDoS APT thing. We're like, what is going on here? We look at the code listing and we're like, oh, it's like a proof of work coin, and it's like a similar kind of like proof of work concept with Tapos. And so yeah, like you said, it doesn't matter where it's coming from. Like, even if it is just like a couple of bots, it's still a ton of throughput. And this was a similar problem that we were like kind of grappling with when Econia was still pre-mainnet. We essentially just wanted to stress test it and see how much throughput it could handle. And so we created a testnet competition that just incentivized volume. And we're like, well, it's testnet. Like, we're basically telling people, like, write a bot that is going to do a bunch of taker volume, like essentially wash trade, and it won't matter because it's testnet. Like, this is not but this is not a problem here. What we really care about is the hardline technical specs and try and like take the system down essentially. And people ended up writing like AWS bots and everything to like redline the Econia move package when we were in testnet. And people were getting like ridiculous testnet volume. Like, someone was doing like $1 trillion of volume or something in like testnet APT, which was hilarious at the time. And there were all these hilarious games where people were like trying to like, we put a throttler in there that would like limit some options but other, and then people would like find ways to Sybil that and some of the other things. So it was kind of funny because it was all like testnet money at the time. And the amazing part then too was that all of this activity that was like just shoving as much as it could through the data pipeline was not breaking anything on chain. Like, Econia, the move package was humming along smoothly. There were thousands of orders open on both ask and bid side. And what ended up being the bottleneck was actually the off-chain indexing stuff, like inserting into a traditional database was the bottleneck. And so we just needed to make it, insert smaller chunks at one time, and that fixed the issue. But the few people who were just really kind of like trying to DDoS the thing, that was the really important like technical specification takeaway that we got. And I think hopefully with more experiments like Tapos and with more things like oracles and very persistent transactions like we see on Econia as well, the technical specifications of the chain just get proven out more and more each day.
Yes. Okay. I want to step it back a little bit just because I'm not sure that everybody in the space knows who Alex is or what Econia is. Did you want to give us a little intro? Wow, that's a loaded, a loaded statement. A little intro into Econia and yourself, but I will leave that with you as a jumping off point. But yeah, we
Yeah,
would love
thanks.
to.
Yeah, we didn't start with that. You guys started talking about metrics, and that just got me all excited. So hello everybody. I'm Alex. I'm CEO co-founder of Econia Labs. I've been building on Aptos for over 2 years now. I actually started getting my hands dirty with Aptos in April 2022. Presented on a project at the pre-mainnet inaugural hackathon in Palo Alto that won a prize. Ended up in the Aptos Labs Accelerator program. That was 2 years ago. Did the fundraise, moved to Palo Alto, got the protocol launched. It's off the ground. And the Econia protocol is a fully on-chain order book. So it's kind of like the NASDAQ, but instead of being located in a centrally controlled data center in New Jersey that charges exorbitant rates for data feed subscriptions, Econia is fully open source, it's fully on-chain, and it inverts the data model by making it as transparent and publicly available as possible. So it's composable and it allows other people to build trading front ends on top of it. And at this point, there are 7 protocols in the Econia ecosystem that are using the Econia backend to power their trading front ends. We are also working on a fun consumer app at Econia Labs that is slated to go live in the next few weeks. And as a result of that, we've come up with assorted open source tools. We've built a vanity address generator called OptiVanity. I personally have worked on a lot of the multi-sig code that's in the Aptos CLI. We have been building an indexing framework called Inbox that we're going to be announcing in the next few weeks that people can use. So we try and build all the developer tooling we can to help out the community. Everything we do is open source, and we try and write tutorials and documentation into Aptos Labs where we can and when we need it, and we know that other developers will need it because we want to help progress the move on Aptos ecosystem forward as much as we can.
Let's go. Sorry, I'm hyped. Like, I am hyped that Atos has builders like you here building and able to convey what you can convey to developers on other chains about the benefits here. Because I can talk about all the stuff going on as much as I want, but you get this stuff on a deeply technical level. And yeah, so you said seven platforms are currently using Econia as their backend.
That's right. So if you think of Econia as the New York Stock Exchange or the NASDAQ, then these trading front ends are kind of like Robinhood or Charles Schwab. So they are the window into the settlement engine. And all of the trades that happen on one protocol can be affected somewhere else. So I could place a limit order on Aries markets, and then someone else could go take that limit order on Echelon. And those orders can also be placed from the command line by institutional market makers who are more used to placing trades using the SDKs of like Binance or wherever. So the idea is that we make it as easy as possible for institutional grade market makers to onboard and provide liquidity on the DEX backend. And that means that users across the ecosystem can benefit from that shared liquidity venue to get tight quotes and less slippage. And one of the advantages of the order book based protocol is that it's so much more capital efficient than an AMM. So in terms of volume to TVL, the ratios end up being much higher because there needs to be less liquidity in order to facilitate the same or even less slippage. So most of the aggregator flow on like the APT USDC pair, for example, if someone goes to Panora and they want to swap APT USDC and they just want the best price, often that just goes to Econia because it's got the tightest spreads and the most liquidity, at the top of the book. So that is one advantage that people get by building on the Econia platform. It allows them to provide their users with this trading experience, and it also is extensible to support things like perps. So one of the projects we've been working with is actually working on perps right now. When there's a testnet link they're ready for people to try, we'll obviously promote that. And then it's not just bot trading. Again, it really is just a generalized settlement engine. So anything that needs to do price discovery on a size and a price can go through Econia, and that's why we're excited to see these new exotic products like perps that are coming on. But that doesn't mean that's the only thing people can build. Like you could build fractionalized NFT trading. You can build other exotic products, like you can build structured products, even options or maybe covered calls or something like that. So the possibilities really are endless because we've tried to provide an extensible developer platform, almost in this like middleware level that lets people create the front ends on top for the business logic that their users want.
Okay, I've got I think it's a sensible question. Are you guys working with Aptos Ascend at all in terms of providing the order book for that liquidity layer?
Right now, we don't have any like immediate like integration efforts going on with Aptos Ascend. I mean, there's nothing that's stopping someone from opening up a permissioned market on top of Econia. We're of course glad to have that conversation if it does provide an onboarding mechanism for RWAs or institutions. I actually I know that I think it was Kevin at Aptos Labs who worked on that Ascend platform and wrote a bunch of the contracts, and he interacted a decent bit on GitHub and whatnot, but nothing right now. I think that I would like to see potentially like an institution use some of that demo code, because I think that the demonstration I saw was, I believe, for it was like municipal bonds or something like that, and so it's kind of like a an NFT in some sense that allows the distributor to make the same kinds of security guarantees that TradFi users might have. And I think, and if we are going to talk about RWAs too, I think that one of the actually like premier ones that I would really like to see more of on chain is just more stable coins, like not strictly US based, but also other sovereignties. Because once we get just a couple, like that's a proxy for Forex markets. And Forex markets are currently fragmented, and by definition, they don't exist in any one jurisdiction. So on chain is actually like the premier candidate to have these markets, and they do like trillions of dollars of volume a day. And it's not that I think that blue chip pairs like APT are going to go from being quoted in USD to being like quoted in Japanese yen. I think that the degen traders are still going to continue to quote everything in USD. What I do think is a much more practical use case is like, say the Japanese firm has some Mexican manufacturer and they need to pay them for parts, and they and the existing system, they might need to wait like 5 days for the money to go from one bank to another intermediary bank, and they have to have all these different accounts at each bank along the way, and that ties up some of the capital that they would be putting to use elsewhere much more efficiently if they could. And if you could do it with stable coins on chain, like you do an atomic swap from yen to pesos, you pay the merchant and it's over in a sub-second on Aptos. And so it really just like greases the wheels of global commerce. And especially as more people are coming on chain through these everything apps that are like social, they're chatting, they're payments, and now they're starting to have these crypto on ramps. I think it allows a lot of people to get their domestic currency on chain and do things like in their local jurisdiction as well using stables, while also providing these rails for global commerce that are kind of just begging to get built.
I could not agree with you more. Like, I think there's entire blockchains dedicated just for, and I know you're talking about institutional money on that level. I'm taking it back down to the roots, to the everyday user. But there are blockchains dedicated to trying to make it easier for someone to send USDC back to their native country or across the world. And I think the sooner Aptos has that capability, the sooner we have stables. And I think you hit it on the head. It's USDC is a priority, obviously, but it's not just USDC. It's having the native currencies globally.
Oh yeah, and I think that the U.S. is starting to prioritize this with some of the like legislative efforts around stablecoin bills, which I understand is actually like has a higher likelihood of happening than some of the other like market structure bills that people are putting forth. But the like as far as a country trying to extend the reach of the U.S. dollar, which is in the U.S.'s interest, like stablecoins are just an obvious choice. Like it exports dollars all around the world, and then also it opens up this huge market for T-bills. So like Tether is one of the biggest holders of of treasury bills in the world, and by doing this, the U.S. government can just sell more of its debt, and what government doesn't want a bigger market for its own like sovereign bond? So the U.S. obviously is like starting to wake up to this, but then every other country now will see this and realize that like their time is limited, and if they want to compete on the global scale, they have to have this liquid market for their sovereign debt on chain as well, because otherwise they'll just get taken out to the cleaners by all these other countries who are like getting on chain, getting on board faster. And again, like I think the issue of the like cross national commerce is going to be a forcing function for these things, because any like firm is going to have to settle domestically in their fiat. Like at the end of the day, the US will mandate that companies in the US settle in US dollars, and people are going to be invoicing in yen or euros depending on where they are. But how they get from like their counterparties sovereign currency to their sovereign currency, like there's a world of possibility there, and on-chain like stable swaps are like the perfect solution to this. And another thing too with like moving this kind of market on chain is that you don't have the same issues you do with commodities where like, okay, let's say someone's selling like corn or soy or whatever. You have to prove often in the market that you like are working in or that you're trading in that you can take physical delivery of these things, because otherwise you'd have some spec trader buying up a bunch of corn and then like literal trucks of corn show up to their doorstep and like, well, I don't want this. I'm like, well, you bought it. So, but when it comes to stable coins, the mere existence of a stable coin on chain implies that it can be redeemed for fiat currency at will. And so if USDC or whatever thing is on chain, then you know, okay, it's like good for it because there's a bank account somewhere that can redeem this. So it takes away a lot of those faults that you might have with deliverability in traditional markets. And it gives you this like compact package, which is like, what do I need? I just need money from country X. And I think it's a really overlooked but crucial part for the global economy to get that on chain first. And so I view that as like one of the first RWAs I would like to see coming on chain, maybe more so than like, I don't know, fractionalized like New York real estate or something. I don't know if there's enough global liquidity for that kind of thing.
Dude, like you just blew my smooth brain. Literally fiat currency as RWAs.
Yeah, I mean it's the first, I think.
Like it makes so much sense. I just never thought of it that way.
Yeah, I think the great part about the blockchain is it's kind of just a whiteboard in the sky. It's like it's a meeting point, and it like if we're thinking about this as like the internet of value, like a lot of things are denominated in these local currencies, and if you have a DEX like an order book like Econia, then everyone can not just have their currency on chain, but they can get it into something else as soon as they need it. And since everybody's already plugged into the giant like money whiteboard in the sky, then they can trade with somebody else. I think that obviously like the native assets like the L1 coins like APT, this is useful because it's representing the utility of simply like placing a transaction, and you need that in order to provide these like proof of stake guarantees and everything. But like fiat currency is not going anywhere, like at least in the short term, and it's very important for onboarding and transitioning this gigantic like on-chain exodus that we'd like to all see. And so I think that it has like so much more potential as an RWA because currency already exists in this much more like free environment where like you don't have to have the same kind of oversight on currency and like forex markets as there are on these other ones where like on equities it's like, is it a security, or like do the shareholders get these voting powers? Like it's when it's currency, it's like no, it's just like a simple dumb token that the government prints out of thin air and people assign it some whatever arbitrary value, and people have a lot of different ones, and it's just a mess to keep track of all of them. And having on-chain price discovery makes the entire process more efficient.
Yeah. It's like so spot on. It makes it sound so simple.
The only problem with it is the powers at B, then a lot of their movements becomes traceable. And I think that, not to bring out my inner conspiracy theorist, but I think the biggest holdup that we're seeing from the current money powers, and that's where the CBDCs come into play, and where that whole debacle could take this sideways for several years.
Yeah, I mean, with the CBDC though, like it doesn't solve the existing problem. Like, okay, a CBDC is just like another like sovereign data silo. Like there already is a fragmented
100%.
So it doesn't actually
exactly.
solve the issue. So yeah, you can make a CBDC and it's like kind of like crypto-y, if you want to call it that. It's like more of an
Yeah,
L2,
but they still control all the validators, so it doesn't matter. Everything that they want shielded from view still stays shielded from view.
Yeah, that's I think your ultimate point,
which is why that is something that is much more palatable to them versus what you're talking about. And that's why you see the pushback on a lot of this space is, if it's done properly, that's exactly what it does, is it transfers that balance of power from these current centralized powerhouses and distributes it more evenly across the global scale. Like when you can trade freely between a peso and the USD at fair value, they don't want that. They want to keep that advantage, right?
So I think that the interesting implication of all this, okay, so there's like maybe this kind of adversarial dynamic between nation states where each one views it as a like potential national security concern to have like total top-down control over the money supply or the data or whatever, right? And so they'll construct these like fragmented data silos, and it can come in different forms. So like the current like existing rails that like the US dollar runs on is not one database, but it's still kind of isolated from the other ones because like even if there might be different banks, like in some sense the US still runs the validator set, even if it's not strictly a blockchain. Like the US runs the validator set and can roll back transactions by using like the courts or whatever. But the tricky part is that like if other people are using the blockchain and other people are using the blockchain, like that is the only way you can like broadcast your stablecoin to the world. Like the stablecoin kind of has to be on a public blockchain because even if it's on a CBDC, then the other like then you don't have the global users. Like you cannot reach people outside your country unless it's on a public blockchain because they just won't be on it. And so the tricky part is that like sure, if someone wants to have like top-down financial control, then like they could do it through a CBDC or through like effectively the existing TradFi institution. But then they're just going to have less liquidity for their sovereign debt. And the current global economic order runs on Keynesian economics, and everyone like finances whatever by just printing money, and everything is deficit spending. And the only way to kick the can further is to just sell more government bonds. And so they like to preserve the current Keynesian like global order, they kind of have to start issuing stablecoins on chain in order to like keep the party going. Otherwise, the GDP to national debt ratio will get too high or whatever. So I think that like the authority and the control part is certainly an interesting one. I think it touches on the more like philosophical ideal of like, is a government going to be okay with the idea that it does not like fully control the money supply? Like you can still do some kind of permissioning on a public chain. Like theoretically, you could implement the existing TradFi system as a contract on Aptos, and the US would still have authority on it. So like theoretically, they could still do that, but it would be more transparent, and it would allow like people to like see what's going on. So and if the stable coins are gonna like broadcast to the world, then there has to be some kind of lifting of permissions on it. Like, and I think here's the interesting part too is like as far as adversarial like dynamics go, Circle and Tether like are each other's competitors, and so there has to be this kind of balance where like people trust that they're not just going to get seized out of thin air by Circle, otherwise everyone's just going to start using Tether, and so then they like there's this also like game theoretic aspect that's keeping them sort of honest and making people have the ability to like hold these stable coins, even though at the end of the day the US does still kind of control it. Like theoretically the US government can still tell Circle like seize like Sneezy's like USDC or whatever, and that'll happen. But if they do, then like well then maybe people stop trusting it as much, and then they'll start to go into maybe like an algorithmic stable coin, like DAI or its analogs on other chains like Move Dollar and Aptos, some of the other ones. So again, it's all I think like game theoretic, and it's like sort of on a spectrum because the less trust people have in one thing, like the more they'll get pushed to another thing. And so like there's some give and take involved with like how people can like export their sovereign like currency and like get a bigger market for their debt that I think like requires blockchains, but obviously it like does threaten I think the existing model, which is like we control everything. What do we do? It's not like this. I don't know. And I think that obviously the value is getting shown that like even with it not necessarily having the same like top-down control, like it's still so transparent, and it's like any regulator's dream to have an immutable record of who did what. Like people are getting caught like 10 years after the fact for like fraud and crime and everything because they were just using a blockchain. And so it actually like makes some of these things easier because you can't just like shred the hard drives because you paid off a bank employee to like let you have a couple minutes in the data room or whatever. So I think that it still ends up being like a useful tool, and for any country that is thinking strategically about how to like consolidate its own power or export its debt or whatever, like it kind of has to use blockchains since so many people are starting to use them now.
Yeah, I think you
Solid points.
hit the nail on the head and the purpose for blockchain. And I think at the end of the day, a lot of people, that is why they're here long term, is they have more faith in the blockchain and what this not international, but really global economy can offer as a future versus the path that we're on. And the more we have people building the solution, the biggest thing is winning over Joe Average and making him feel safe in Web3.
Yeah, I mean, I think a big part of that too is like it doesn't have to be, and I don't think that a lot of people will use this stuff just for some philosophy or ideology, you know. Like I think all the ideological and all the philosophical users are like probably already in crypto. Like maybe there's some people who could be converted or whatever, but like the diehards like probably have already heard about it and like clicked and they're some, you know, like self-identified libertarian or whatever. It's like so they're here. But I think that for the other stuff, like it just has to actually be better. And I think that's the cool part about like this time we're building in is a lot of the stuff that's getting built is actually better. Like there are things that are built on chain that are better than TradFi. Like when USDC depegged earlier in the year, the Curve 3 pool handled like billions of dollars in volume overnight, and price discovery was happening on chain. It was not happening on like some centralized exchange because all the centralized exchanges were like freezing it, or like maybe they had something going on, and like I'm not trying to like trash talk Circle. Like they kind of got screwed because they were just proxying bankers for SVP. But like whatever, that's a news event. It affects the price, and so there's price discovery going on, and it happened all on chain. And I think that was actually huge because this was a global thing. Like stable coins are very important, like global, like technological financial primitive. And for this one time, like you couldn't do it anywhere else. It had to happen there. And I think that the more people start to plug into these things, and the more it becomes the gigantic economic whiteboard in the sky, the more likely it is that you can actually only do this thing on chain. And I think that's too like one of the things that excites me about this upcoming consumer app we're building is like we're productionizing some of our research, and we're actually using like data types and structures that can only be done on chain. And so at that point, it's like, okay, yeah, centralized exchange actually couldn't do this because it's not in there. It's like not the kind of thing they support, or like a typical bank couldn't do this because it's not the kind of thing they support. Like there's a lot of smart contracts out there that are like that, like in AMM, like no, like this isn't being done anywhere else. But the tricky part is that the AMM is not super capital efficient, and so it's like it doesn't have to be necessarily done on chain for the like. But if you want something that's always available, if you like have this thing that can only be traded, like you kind of have to go to DeFi for certain things. So I think that right now, like there's a lot of places where it's qualitatively better to build on chain, and I think that we just need to keep making more of those.
Alex, I got to ask you. I mean, you brought it up again, and you know, do you mind highlighting a little bit about the difference between AMMs and order book? I know you mentioned it initially in your intro, and you know, just kind of really making that a clear point as the differences between the two, as it is like something we touched on now 2 times, and I mean, you know, just to make sure everyone's on the same page.
Yeah, sure thing. Thanks for teaming me up there. So an order book is essentially the like pillar of traditional finance as far as trading is concerned. So someone specifies the size they are willing to sell and the price they're willing to sell it at. So I have 10 oranges and I'm willing to sell them at, you know, $1 a pop, like $1 per orange. So you have a size and a price. And so someone else comes along and says like, well, I want to buy 5 oranges and I'm willing to pay up to $1.10. You know, you've crossed the spread and the oranges trade hands and everyone pays the price they specified, and etc. So that's like kind of how we're used to it. Like you think about some, you know, like these, you can think about this working in like a physical marketplace. Like there's a list of people with the prices, and the lowest prices at the bottom and the highest ones at the top, and you like go down the list and, you know, match the orders. But so that's an order book. In AMM, it uses what's called a constant product curve, and basically is like an equal amount of asset A and asset B in the pool, and then depending on how much someone buys, the price gets set accordingly. The tricky part is that like with an AMM, the more you buy, like the higher it pushes the price, and the price like theoretically can go out to infinity. So I'll contrast this with an order book. It's like, well, I said I'm willing to buy or sell this much at this price. Once you buy, that's it. Like you bought all 10 oranges, I'm not selling any more oranges, so there's no like liquidity left. So as long as people are constantly placing orders, there will be liquidity. In an AMM, the way it kind of makes this trade-off where it says like you'll always have like liquidity. So it's in some sense like if you say like, hey, I'm willing to provide like oranges to this market, those oranges will kind of always be up for sale, but the price could just like go all the way out to infinity, or it could go all the way down to zero, and it like more slowly extracts it. And the result is that you essentially just have more slippage as a user when you're placing a trade there. And as a liquidity provider, you have less control over like what range your liquidity can exist in. And it means that you're subject to this thing called, it's called impermanent loss. And it just means that you kind of have to like more, you have to like watch your position a little more closely and make sure that the prices don't move too much, otherwise you'll end up losing money. Versus on an order book, it's like, hey, you placed this order, someone matched it, cool, you got the amount of money you predicted you'd get. If no one matches it, then cool, you just take your order off the book. So yeah, those are some of the, I think, key differences there.
That is super helpful. Thanks for clarifying the differences there. And I think it's like just to share, right? Like, has it been like abundantly skewed and indexed towards AMMs like over in Web3 more than order books, or is that just a perspective I currently have that seeing you come in with an order book over an AMM is like kind of refreshing in some essence, or am I just not sure exactly which ones are order books versus AMMs?
Take it away, Sneezy.
Yeah, I don't want to answer the question. I just wanted to let everybody listening know that an AMM is an automated market maker.
Yes,
Sorry,
you.
I'm bringing it way back down for the people in grade 5 like me.
No,
Thanks,
thanks
Sneezy.
Just so they know what they're talking about.
Yeah, the automated market maker. So the automated market maker was this model that was pioneered for the most part by Uniswap years ago on the Ethereum blockchain. Order books have been implemented on blockchains before. There was actually one called Ether Delta a while back. Shout out to anyone who used Ether Delta. But it was basically just like so slow and complex, and the gas was too much, and it just didn't really work. And the appealing part about an AMM is that it's a very lightweight algorithm, and it doesn't require that much like data on chain in order to make it work. It's simple, which is why it's been adopted so much in Web3. And only recently has it become like actually possible in a technical and a pragmatic sense to do an on-chain order book. And I think that the first place where it actually kind of worked was on Solana. I had actually gotten really pulled into DeFi by Solana. And when I was looking at the order book that was on the chain at the time, it just was a splinter in my mind in a sense, because it made this trade-off that we don't have to make at Econia Labs in the way that we built the Econia protocol. And it was really just a limitation imposed by the Solana architecture. So really, like, AMMs have been around, they've been iterated on, they're like, they work no matter what. They're like simple, but they're not economically that efficient. And this contrasts with an order book, which is like, it's just much more complex, and it's high performance if you have a blockchain that can support it, which is what Aptos can do.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, makes a ton of sense as well. And that's awesome to see that this is what Aptos provides is the ability to kind of bring this to fruition. Yeah, because I feel like commonly continue to hear AMM, so it's really interesting to hear the stark difference in the traditional like idea of an order book and the complexities now that are available and doable thanks to Aptos. So appreciate you explaining and leveling up my knowledge on the differences between the two.
Yo, I honestly, I can't express how lucky we are as a chain to have people like Alec, like Brent, like Greg, like Aptos, like David, that can have these in-depth technical conversations, but then also bring it back when I tell them that I have a very limited understanding and that can explain these crazy technical things in a way that a lot of the people listening can understand.
When we're asking and defining what an AMM is.
Yeah, no, like I truly don't think you get this other places. Like,
It is.
thank you, Alex, for coming and hanging out with us. Thank you, Brent. Thank you, Aptos. Thank you, Greg. Thank you, all the Giga Chads we have that come through this space and both explain on a deep level and at a level that people that need pictures to understand a lot of this stuff can understand.
Yo, pictures are where it's at. Just say we have a really nice picture of an order book on the Econia doc site. That's like my pride and joy, getting the HTML for our order book part set up. So yeah, if you want a picture of an order book, go there. And yeah, I agree too. I think it's important for people to be able to educate the community about these different things that are getting built. I obviously am like very much in the weeds with this stuff, and so I appreciate you being able to tell me like when to come back to earth a little bit and try and help people out and like present a more macro level, if you will, about how this all applies. At the same time, obviously want to hype up the tech that is here and just get other developers passionate about building on here like I have been for the last 2 years.
Let's go, Alex. I mean, I'd love to leave it off here with if you want to take it with what's next for Econia yourself, anything that you want to leave like anyone that's listening back with or that's currently here today as a takeaway, and anything that you want to kind of message about, like, Econia and yourself as well that's coming up or whatever.
Yeah, cool. So thanks for teeing off that kind of final point there. So obviously, I would encourage everyone to just listen to what Econia Labs and I'm saying on Twitter. We try and keep everyone up to date on what we're building, and if I make any open source contributions to Aptos Core, try and hype that up so other devs can use that. Like I mentioned earlier, we are building a fun consumer app. It's like kind of a side quest that is productionizing some of the research we've been doing onto different liquidity provisioning mechanisms, and we're putting it into a nice user friendly package with a front end and everything that people can use. So just be on the lookout for like an alpha release, and that people can try out on testnet in the next coming weeks. Excited to get more people trying that out. As always, we will do everything open source, and we'll keep people in the loop about what we're building and trying to onboard new devs. And then just longer term, what I'm here to do and what I'm excited about is to continue to build high performance trading infrastructure, and to help get the next the next phase of developers and users and everybody onboarded to Aptos, and to generally just promote the chain and its use around the world.
Let's freaking go. Wow. Angel.
Let's go.
I just want to say that well, first of all, great space. Brokepacker was first. He's had his hand up for a bit, so I'll wait for him to ask his question, and then I'll ask. I have a couple questions. Go ahead, Brokepacker.
Yo, just want to say, bullish on Alex. There's like so many Alex in Aptos, and y'all are great.
Over to you, Angel.
Shout out to having the hand raised in the PFP, because that's a nice optical illusion. For any Alexes who are out there, there's actually an Alex DAO group on Telegram that I got put in. It's just like a bunch of Alexes saying GM. So yeah, there are plenty in here.
I'm dead.
All right, Angel, we're ready for your barrage of questions. Let's go.
No, it's just 3 questions. But first of all, I just want to say great space, Sneezy and Atreyu. You guys have been going hard. I love it. It's awesome to see. And you have Alex on tonight, which is really awesome. Alex is, every time I listen to him speak, I mean, I try and keep up. Obviously, I'm not a scientist or an engineer. So it's always like a whirlwind of information. And it's always very informational and very interesting to listen to. Last time I heard Alex speak was in the Aptos Ascent space. And that was very interesting to hear him talk about why he's building on Aptos and what advantages Aptos brings. So just 3 brief questions, if I may. One of them, Alex, was, what are your thoughts on like the future of blockchain in general over the next like 5 to 10 years? I always like asking this to developers, especially ones in the U.S., since the U.S. plays such a pivotal role in technology and global finance.
I think it's the next generation of cloud compute, and it's obviously tilted more towards finance. So I think it's very interesting implications for unifying global markets, starting with things like domestic currencies, and I think ultimately extrapolating out to other existing markets that can maybe be done more transparently on chain, including things like equities or commodities. But it certainly is, to me, a new paradigm shift in computing, and I'm looking forward to seeing it kind of vacuuming up all the fragmented financial information around the world into one nice consolidated package.
Fascinating. Thank you for answering that, sir. The next question is, since we're talking about global markets, what are your thoughts on BRICS and the fact that the BRICS countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, they're basically building their own blockchain and they're doing trade in their own currencies to try and move away from the petrodollar, the US dollar. And they're implementing basically a payment system based on blockchain. I'm not sure when that's going to happen, but I know they're working on it. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that it introduces like a new model for the like sovereign data silo. So it's not CBDC because it's like this coalition, but it's still going to be presumably top down permissioned. I think that they can extend the reach of this thing even more if they just like onboard more countries. I think the tricky part about having it have a controller ends up that like there will be someone who doesn't like who controls the thing, and so there will, I think, always be some kind of public alternative. And I think that is where the public blockchains really shine, is because if someone wants to trade on these systems, and if like there's enough liquidity for their domestic currency or whatever, they don't necessarily have to do it on this chain. And I think that there will always be that allure to just export the sovereign currency to more users who will be existing, I think, ultimately on the public blockchains.
Fascinating. Very interesting. Thank you. And the last question. So this is a little bit out there, but it's something I've thought about here and there. What are your thoughts on quantum computing and the idea that once it becomes more developed and widespread, it may break things like SHA-256 encryption, which is what Bitcoin is based on? I do know there are blockchains that have developed quantum-resistant algorithms, but I'm not a cryptographer nor an engineer, so it's always interesting to hear what engineers think about this.
Yeah, in terms of the quantum computing, what so the whole idea of like breaking the SHA algorithm, I think for the most part is like that you can just do a bunch of computations per second, and eventually you'll like brute force attack it. The quantum computing, I think, the main idea is that it can like kind of do these things in parallel. If this thing like does get, if someone cracks it or whatever, like it's not just crypto that it's in trouble; it's like literally the entire internet. So I think that I think the way that like humans and technology work generally is that until someone, like some country, actually demonstrates this and starts doing this, like not many things are probably going to upgrade, unfortunately. And then I think once that moment happens, then there will probably be, some kind of catalyst for people to like change to some new encryption standard. And I think that's the idea behind these quantum resistant algorithms is people are kind of trying to future proof it. I think that, yeah, like if Aptos, for example, like was using ED25519 and someone broke ED25519, then there'd probably be some kind of like fire for a couple days, and then there'd be a PR that's like, all right, we implemented the new quantum resistant algorithm, here you go. And then everyone just starts from using this new algorithm. So I think that like generally software will adapt. I'm guessing that it's going to be more like we see with these like 0-day viruses and some like Linux packages here and there where it's like, all right, everyone, like it got to the point where we realized it was enough of a threat and we all had to upgrade, and this one guy didn't upgrade and he's the open source maintainer for this project, and okay, so we like forked it and now we use this other version and it's fine. So I'm guessing that like once it is a serious enough threat that people will actually start to call to action, and these things will probably get upgraded pretty quickly. But I guess it just isn't enough of a threat right now to impel people to do anything about it yet, because no one I really know in the developer community is like concerned about this happening tomorrow or next month or next year, but sometime in the quote unquote future. So yeah, at a certain point it will probably happen and everything will probably be upgraded in due time.
Got it. Thank you, Alex, sir, for answering those questions, and thanks again for coming on the space and sharing with us all your thoughts. And thank you, Sneezy and Atreyu, for having such a great space. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, you don't get to come up here and ask such thought-provoking questions without us giving you some flowers for this space even existing, bro. Like, if it wasn't for you hanging out with us when this was a non-recorded space and you giving us the nudge to start recording and, like, no shit, dude. Like, literally, Alex is here tonight. Like,
Who would have thought? So thanks again, Angel. Seriously,
like, legit,
insane.
bro. Like, and again, Brent, you don't get to be up there throwing emojis. Same thing. Like, thank you for everything you've done with the ecosystem events in the Petra wallet. Like, not just this space, countless spaces in the ecosystem that are thriving and getting more people into them and more people involved in the ecosystem because you're highlighting them. Not to mention the mints, everything. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know. If anybody's not bullish on Aptos, they honestly just haven't interacted with the ecosystem yet. I truly believe that. Like, there's nobody on any chain that's going to come hang out, talk to the people that come into these spaces, the people that are listening right now, interact with any of you guys, and not stick around. They just haven't met y'all yet.
You guys are great. Keep up the awesome work. I love it. It's all you guys. You guys rock.
Let's go.
Let's go. Wow. Freaking A. Alex, this has been an absolute pleasure. You're awesome. This has been so fun and honestly educational, and also like thought provoking in many different ways. So very excited. I think that, I don't know, that's just my 2 cents, my take. And I think based on the reactions we've been seeing through the crowd, a lot of people kind of I think generally agree. So this has been awesome. Seriously. Thank you again for your time and joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Wow. And then he mutes everybody.
Dude, I'm just rushing to throw hearts as fast as I can.
Oh my goodness. Yo, you gotta get Denoshi and Brent to show you how they do those seizure inducing emojis.
Yeah, seriously, I need to learn the trick because I keep doing this by accident where I just mute everyone, and then you call me out every time. Every time, Sneezy.
Yo, because it's not me, bro. There's only two of us up here, and it ain't me.
All right, I'm gonna have to like literally take a lesson from Denoshi's book here on the rapid hearts because I'm trying to do it, but I have no idea. I'm just.
You might have more buttons as a co-host. It might be a little tougher.
Yo, what's up, Inoshi?
Hey, Denoshi.
Yo, how we doing, boys? I saw a bunch of legends
Yo.
in the house. The beautiful space as always.
Yo, bro, we had Alex in the house tonight, and Brent just came up, and Angel's here, and you're here, and Ape just came up, and we got
You're
so many
here and
legends down,
Treyu's here. Let's go.
so many legends down, hanging out, listening. Shout out to everybody taking time out of their day, listening back. Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Red, what up? A person, see you with your hand up. Hello.
What up? I hope you guys are having an absolutely beautiful Monday. Another beautiful space as always. I can't wait. Well, I can wait for the end of it when we say how much of a beautiful space this was and how more they keep improving each week. But the main reason I came up is I just wanted to ask Atreyu how he hasn't figured out how to not mute everybody yet. It's been 17 weeks.
Well, I'm just trying to spam emojis here, and I still haven't figured out the trick on how to spam emojis. There's a trick. I'm going to figure out eventually. I don't know. I'm sorry.
Yo, there's a post. I'll put it on the Jumbotron right now. Come on, man.
I know. I gotta. Gosh, okay. I'm going to literally practice. I'm going to just post a space by myself and just practice spamming emojis.
Be the example you want to see, Atreyu.
They're trolling you so hard, too.
I know. I know that. But Brent's got his hand up. Go ahead.
Brent, how are you, man?
No, I just changed my profile picture to be like Broke Becker. No, but hey, I've heard Alex now mention in two different spaces this consumer product coming up. So I took a screenshot of everybody that's in this space right now, and I'm gonna send you all a DM to go support that consumer product whenever they're gonna announce it or talk about it or all that stuff. So I'm very excited for that. Yeah, and I'm gonna go find
you
that
already
tweet.
know. You already know that we're hyped about whatever that consumer product is.
Heck
Yeah,
yeah.
Alex just kind of subtly mentioned it, and we didn't drill into it at all. But boy, do you know we're excited about it.
Yo, dude, we were giving him the pass. Brent's like, nope, no passes in After Dark. You dropped the alpha.
It's After Dark, man. No. You can't drop the alpha before the alpha is ready to be dropped. But I've heard it in two different spaces now. There's something coming, and they're cooking it up. So I'm pretty stoked for it right now.
I want to say, let's go for Sneezy.
Thank you, bro.
I got your back.
Right back here with the hand. Go ahead.
Yo, hi everybody. My name is Brokeback. Thank you for this space.
Awesome.
Yo,
Thanks,
make
bro.
him talk about you.
Hugh.
Yo, I'm not sure if you can hear my dogs fine. I have a series called You. So I'm a pixel artist. I have it up in trade for the first one was blue, and then the second one was red. It's red. And it was a total coincidence that I just happened to launch it on Petra's birthday. But I made like red in the theme of Petra because I just felt like, I wanted to pay homage to Petra because of how very like helpful they are when it comes to like almost everything in Aptos. To be honest, I've been around for only so long, and I've already interacted with Brent like a lot. I go to his DMs and he responds real quickly, and I attest to like how fast they work because we'd go live on Spaces and we'd talk about like these features that could be on Petra, and next thing you know, it's there. So yeah, super bullish on Petra. If you don't have one, give it a shot. Download Petra, see how smooth it is. And I'm not sure does the other wallet like tell you how fast the transactions are.
No, not yet.
That's a Petra exclusive feature.
Right.
Petra
See, like
original.
yeah. I mean, yeah, for the average user, like the 0. What seconds don't really matter, but yeah, it's wild.
Yo, can we all come together for half a second, all the speakers, and wish Petra a happy 1 year birthday? Because they're honestly out here doing the most as a wallet. And I saw they integrated the Panora token list, I think within hours of them launching that.
Not yet.
Oh, no?
No. I said coming soon. We have a current
Oh,
coin
coming
list.
soon?
We're gonna switch over to it, but I was working on a Panora. I was working with the Panora API today and was looking at the coin list. So like it might be sooner than soon. I don't even know.
Let's go. Well, that's what I mean. You were looking at it right away.
Wait,
Happy
But no,
1 year. Let's go.
The amount of
Woo!
times
Let's go.
the amount of times there's been feature integrations live in a space that I've been in with Brent, I can't count on two hands.
Dude, it's killing it. Sometimes, like, Brent, you're like posting about you doing things while we're in a space, and like Sneezy and I just don't even recognize that you share it with us. And then after we conclude and we look through some of this stuff, we're like, dang it, Brent, you're too fast. You're too
Yo, I thought you guys were just ghosting me. Gosh darn it.
No, dude, you
Bruh.
like wizard comes to mind would be a term I would describe you as.
yo, talk about taking customer feedback.
I was going to call him
Yo,
a beautiful magician, but I guess your words work as well.
Yeah, no, like when I throw around like the cliche that Aptos is built different, like this is the type of stuff I'm talking about. Like these spaces, the candor that you have with the people behind the chain, behind the dApps, behind the projects. I don't know. To me, it's built different. It's a beautiful thing. It's just cool to be a part of.
Yeah, I agree. Like when I first came over here, like I was involved in some projects that, well, on a different blockchain that I considered really community spaces. And then I found Aptos, and I was like, there's no way like it can feel like this. Like, it sounds silly when you say it like that because if you've been around other blockchains and had experiences there, some of them aren't really that positive. Most of the people there are really like for their own good. And I feel like Aptos is here for everybody's good. Like, it's just amazing to see like people like Brent and Angel and all these other amazing people that hold spaces, talking spaces, share and like tweets. Like the amount of cooperation between the people and the communities of all the communities in Aptos is just amazing to me. I haven't seen it on any other blockchains that I'm on. I say it to other people, but like Aptos is what I dreamed of the other blockchains that I joined would be. Like, I always thought it would be like these communities that got together that realized like we're all important, we all matter, we all deserve a shot, we all are equal. No one's better than everybody. It's not a competition. We're here to evolve together. And like when you go other places, it's just it's not this feeling. It sounds like cliche or it sounds like utopian, but it's true. Like Aptos really does hit different. It checks all the boxes that I look for when I'm looking for everything in a blockchain. And so it's just I'm so lucky Sneezy told me a little over a year ago, dude, you got to check this out. And he took him a couple times to say it because like I said, sometimes when things sound too good to be true, a lot of times they are. So far with Aptos, I haven't had that feeling. Like everything's awesome. People are great. The people that are in the wallets, just all the people are amazing. I won't go on anymore because you know me, but like just beautiful, man. I'm so glad that I found Aptos. It truly is a home. It's not just a blockchain.
Yo, that's one of the things I love about this space so much is what you guys cover in the space. You cover literally everything everybody in here is working on and needs to know about, and like all the builders. And every week, man, those recaps that you send out that are a ton of work to put together. That's super cool for everybody that's building on Aptos to see what everybody else is building. I'm in a lucky position. I get to work on Petra and absolutely love it. And to be able to support that and see and come to these spaces. Now that I don't have T-ball anymore, a person, I can come to more of your spaces. But this Monday night was my T-ball free night for the past couple months. Yeah, we're excited to show up and help you guys out and be part of the journey.
Well, you won't want to miss Thursday's show. I have Fisher. Some of you might know him from the Aptos Mingos. But Fisher's going to be my guest on Thursday. So hopefully you guys will come out and hear some of the questions. And just if you don't know Fisher or aren't familiar with him, maybe you'll get to know him.
Let's
I
go.
can't wait for you to have a sit down in depth with Fisher, because he's probably one of the founders I've gotten close with the most recently. Like I haven't been hanging out with him the same amount of time I've been hanging out with the Monkeys team or with Denoshi or King from Proud Lions. So I'm legitimately excited to have, like, not just Fisher, the guy who runs Mingo's and guy who runs Shrimp. Like, I'm excited to sit down and have one of your spaces with him, because that's something I think you do that's very cool with those Thursday spaces, is the deep dive into not just the project but the behind the project.
Like I said, for me, like, it's about community. Like, if people are here to make money, cool, that's awesome. I hope you do fantastic. I hope your life is great. I hope you're checking all the things that you need to check off to make it for you. But for me, it's like NFTs and blockchain technology are like community based things. So like, I want to have people that, you know, maybe don't know or want to know or don't have the knowledge or whatever, just to want to know things. Like, it's cool. Like when I had Denoshi on there, like the 3 times I had him on there on the same Thursday, like, just what an amazing thing. And then I had Nomadic on from the Monkeys. Dude, it's just so cool just to hear like what drives people. Like for me, it's fascinating to hear like what made you get into crypto and why did you choose Aptos and why did you choose a monkey or why did you choose to make Mavericks, or like, just the people are so much more important than the PFPs that we wear. And for me, like, it's just, I want everybody to meet everybody and just show some support.
Go ahead, Denoshi.
No, I was trying to do the clapping thing.
At least you didn't
And
mute
I should
everybody.
have been.
Hey,
No, one thing I wanted to highlight, just the spectrum of this space alone. Like, you have Ape and I, who for the most part are end users in this ecosystem, and we have very similar feelings and feedback to someone like Alex or Brent, who are here on the other absolute extreme, here building the infra that the chain is being built on. I think that's really cool that the sentiment of Aptos just feels like the future. It's very cool to me that that's a common thread.
The thing that I like too is it makes me feel like I belong. I know it might sound kind of weird or silly, but it does. It makes me feel like I have a place because I'm accepted here. People want to help here. I want to help people here. Like, it's a true form of community. It's not like the community that a lot of other places talk about. We are about. We're not just walking the walk. We're talking and walking at the same time.
Yo,
let's
what
go.
up, Ziptos?
Hey, After Dark. It's morning over here, so this is after morning. Great to hear all of you, especially Alex. Alex, awesome amount of knowledge, my friend. I will DM you. I just have something that I wanted to talk to you, so I'm going to DM you sometime today or tomorrow. But again, fan of what you said. Awesome questions, awesome stuff. I do want to echo the sentiment of being community driven. And given that we are a little over 1 month old relative to all of you, you all are like veterans here. I think one of the things that stood out for me was the opportunity factor. We all know Aptos is new, but it's not small. It's huge, right? It's $1 billion token organization. Even after being that big, even after having people like Zach, Brent, all of you who are so busy, people get opportunities to build, right? People get heard. People get paid attention to. So I think that is another unique factor that I see with Aptos. Even after being such a widespread organization based out of the US and trying to market everywhere, you still take out time to listen to people. You take out time to listen to their ideas, give them opportunity to build, understand where they're coming from. That takes time. Like, that takes time, effort, energy. It's not easy, especially in this crypto space where things move so quick, so fast, and things are dynamic. You still have a lending ear to people. That is awesome. It's not easy to find everywhere, which is a true fact. So yeah, it's community in Aptos, and then how the community behaves within that cohort is absolutely unique. So again,
No,
hats
dude,
off to all the leadership, man.
I think that's one of the coolest things about Aptos, and I think that that's something that translates beyond what your role is in this space, is just that sense of opportunity and that sense of support. Whether you're
Mm.
coming here as a dev, whether you're coming here as an NFT builder, whether you're coming here as an artist, whether you're coming here as a community member, or someone who just wants to invest in this space, whatever you want to do in this space, you're going to be supported. And I think that's something that it not just transcends, like just relates to people at like a core level, that being included, that feeling of people wanting to see you succeed. And that's truly infectious. And I got to give kudos, like the Aptos Foundation does a fantastic job of allocating grants to builders in the space, that not just to attract them, but the ones that are here that are building. They do an amazing job of that. Something we talked about this a little bit this afternoon in a space Pecker was holding, but is the Aptos Collective. And I don't think that gets talked about enough or gets enough credit, just as that platform for community members. Like, I'm not a builder in the space, I'm not a dev, I don't have an NFT, but the collective was something that I was able to be supported, and it's a volunteer basis, but just again, that feeling of inclusion and like, hey, we see you trying to do stuff in the ecosystem. We want to help you do that better. And I don't think that gets enough credit in this space.
In in many ways, I'm gonna pass it to Brent right after this, but I definitely feel Aptos truly lives and breathes through this abundance mindset, which is, I feel, pretty darn rare. It really is beautiful to see, and it's not just words; it's actions that follow in a way that's great with that mentality. So, Brent, over to you first, then Alex right after.
I just wanted to call out, we don't support just to support. We support good things that have value. I think that's why I come back to this space on a regular basis. So I drop in on a person space. People that are creating stuff that have these spaces. The art space by Serene and Julie, I see them in my feed. They're right next to each other. I think those things, they provide real value. I know it's a lot of work. You guys are putting time and energy into this, and I really appreciate it. I think everybody appreciates it. Everybody that drops in here, I think, really appreciates it. So we don't just support for the sake of support. We support things that are good and add value to the ecosystem. So don't forget that. I think there's a lot of love behind that support too. And my kids are crying in the background, so I'm gonna try to listen, but I might also dip out. But awesome space to get tonight. Yeah, very cool stuff. Thanks, Alex, for showing up too. I'm gonna try to listen as long as I can until like somebody throws something and breaks something. Love you guys.
Love you, Brent.
Appreciate the heck out of you, dude. You as a person, you taking part in the ecosystem the way you do, and everything you do through the Petra wallet, like that is a perfect example of like, with great power comes great responsibility, and Brent is a freaking superhero. Yeah, let's go, Alex. What's going on?
Love it. Love been working with Brent over the last few weeks. Shout out to him for letting me into the Aptos Labs office. I think 7:30 a.m. when I got there a couple weeks ago, because he was one of the first people there, and I needed to take an early meeting. So thanks again for that. Thanks for building Petra, and for supporting us in some of the fun stuff we've been working on lately. Obviously, looking forward to doing more collabs in the future to get the word out. I have had a blast being on here for the last almost hour and 40 minutes with you all, talking about Econia, global economics, crypto, Aptos, everything. And I got to hop because I had a meeting that started 7 minutes ago with actually my friend HC from Aptos Labs, to just a little check in with him. And so I think I'll probably leave you all here. But it has been so fun being on here. I appreciate getting to talk a little bit more about what I've been building, and always getting to talk and spread the word about Aptos Lab for anyone who will listen. So thank you again for having me.
Yo, Alex, sincerely, can't thank you enough for taking time out of your schedule to come spread knowledge, both on a Giga Chad level and on a level that I can understand. That is a skill and a talent, and sincerely thank you.
Thank you, thank you. It was again so enjoyable to converse and hear everything that's going on, what's happened and where you're going, and everything to get excited about Econia and what you guys are building. Consumer app, DApp, everything, and yeah, of course, echo everything Sneezy said. So really do appreciate it, Alex. Send our love to HC. Let's go.
Will do. I'm hyped. All right. Until next time. Clocking out. See you guys.
Have a good one, Alex.
What a baller.
Man, that was awesome.
That was
Alex is the man.
so much knowledge. Dude, I'm gonna have to listen back to this recording like 3 times.
Minimum.
Oh, Brent, you were talking about amazing spaces. I see Dr. Wulon popped in. I want to give a huge shout out to Dr. Wulon and what he is doing with the spaces for the Chinese community. Bullish as
Yo,
so
Ecosystem
bullish.
Events V2. Ecosystem Events V2 is going to include language-based events
Let's
and geo-based
go.
events.
Let's
Yeah.
go.
What?
I'm
Bro.
excited.
No, I'm not
Brent.
even joking because I just go in there to show support. I don't understand the conversation that's going on, but I don't need to speak the language to understand laughter. I don't need to speak the language to understand vibes of the conversation. That's a cool space that they're putting on. And I think one of the coolest things to me about that space is the amount of people that I saw go up as speakers that I have been interacting with for well over a year on the daily in Discord, on Twitter, that come in and listen to spaces, but haven't had a place where they felt comfortable going up to speak. And there was a good 8-12 people that I saw roll through Dr. Wulon Spaces speakers that I feel just we're happy to have that space. So yeah, shout out Dr. Wulon. I believe that space is tomorrow at, oh shoot, what time is it? Pecker, what time is it? Is it 9 or 11?
It's 9.
9 a.m. EST. Let's go. Thank you, Pecker.
Send me the, or I'll find the link and add it to Ecosystem Events. V1 people will show up and be confused if it's not their language, but Ecosystem Events V2, that won't be a problem.
Oh boy, Brent, you're the freaking man. That's all I'm gonna say. What the heck?
Can we have a translator on the wallet, right?
What's that?
Can we have a translator on the wallet? I'd make some APT for that.
Ah, boy. What an amazing. Oh my gosh. Angel, and
Hey, just real quick. You guys were talking. Well, Brent was talking about how you're gonna have ecosystem V2 and how you're gonna have language spaces. I think that's really cool. It'll be really cool to hear spaces in other languages. Cool to have more spaces in Spanish, for example. And Brent, I think you said before I forget that you speak Spanish. Is that right? If he can hear me. If he can't, that's fine. I was gonna try and speak Spanish with Brent like in one of these spaces, just because it's always nice to chat, just really brief, you know. But it's cool to see someone else on the Aptos Labs, Aptos team speaks Spanish. So, but no, it'll be really cool to see the different spaces, and it's great to see all the different ecosystem, or sorry, Aptos Collective members, such as Dr. Wulon and obviously Sneezy and Atreyu, and I'm sure we'll see others have their own spaces. So that's very exciting. So looking forward to that.
dang, Angel, you're one of the awesome people that can speak you're multilingual. I think Sneezy and I have trouble with English. That's
on the daily.
I'm only bilingual. I'm actually jealous of our European friends who can speak like 4, 5, 6 languages. Because they have all these countries very close to each other. So I'm jealous of that.
Yo, that's Nomadic's like that. I think Nomadic speaks 4 or 5 languages. And I was just like, dude, that blows my mind.
I wish. That's very cool.
Well,
dude,
Sneezy,
I think that's a superpower.
Should we touch on really quick some of the other, just like power through like maybe a few things on the last 15 minutes or so that we're here? I mean, it'd be great to like give a little shout out to the Aptos team and Mo and some of those kind of maybe
Oh,
like just
yeah.
like quick, I don't know.
Yo, let's do rapid fire. Let's make my recap tweet a pain in the butt.
That's pretty much my goal right now.
Yo, let's rapid fire. Yo, yeah, shout out. Sorry everybody for not having a recap tweet last week. If I
Yep.
don't do it within like 45 minutes of the space ending, it goes from like an hour and a half process to like a 3 hour process. And I got about 3/4 of the way done doing it the pain in the butt way. And then I deleted the tweet instead of saving the tweet when I went to add the next post. And there was just no coming back. But we're going to get it right after this space. We ain't going to make that mistake twice.
Yeah, I also will just say that the recent episode for episode 16 does not have YouTube chapters either. So we'll just say episode 17 will be better. We will be better.
Yeah, I owe it to
Okay,
I owe it to Alex.
it will be better. Let's go. Okay, so I just pinned one. I'm trying to find.
Oh,
let's,
no
let's,
big deal. Just I pinned one real quick. Aptos
yeah,
and Chainlink partnership.
I don't know. It's pretty freaking cool. Just jump on into that one.
I think that's one of the more efficient EVM chains partnering with Aptos. I think that's bullish.
That is definitely bullish. I'm trying to find the Mo tweet as well right now. Do you have that one available? We should definitely pin that one too, because that was really freaking cool to see.
Yep, I'll get it.
Let me see. That.
Yeah, that just speaks to a lot of what Alex was talking about and just the viability of Aptos as a viable chain in the future. Just Mo being included in the CFTC subcommittee, digital
Yep.
assets subcommittee. Pinning it. Sorry, I was reading it.
Thank you. Yeah, I literally was looking for it, but I feel like that's a good one to pin for us for sure as well. Definitely great to see. We also, I mean, I don't know, do we just want we can power, I don't know. We should celebrate this for sure. Like Mo, I think you already hit the main point here and the viability that Alex kind of touched on and connecting that to with Mo being there. That's freaking awesome to see. So do we want to jump to GUI?
Yeah, we can touch on that real quick.
Okay.
Graveyard season 1 has concluded. When season 2 starts, I'm not sure if they're official or speculated at this point, but there will be airdrops going out for the top rankers in Graveyard season 1. I think there's like 800 and some odd wallets that qualified.
Let's go. Let's go. I mean, in the sake of powering through here, I think I just pinned a quick tweet that we touched on in episode 16, but I think this write-up from the Aptos team on the main account mentioning what it would take to spend one Aptos in the game that we mentioned in today's space, and also in episode 16, if you're not totally sure, we don't got to give context on it, but Tapos Cat, for one Aptos, it took 100,000 tickles, which and 4 joules of energy, which is pretty interesting little stat there. Thank you, Reddit. And at the top speed, 5 hours of grueling thumb workouts. So if you're curious on what the heck any of this means, just listen to episode 16 where we go into Tapos and everything that is. But very, very cool to see. That's how many basically taps it would take to spend one Aptos, which I think was just a cool little write up there from the team to really highlight that one.
Yeah, I don't know if I have tweets prepared for these, but I'm going to go rapid fire on some of the meme stuff going on.
Okay, let's do
cool?
it. Yeah, cool? Yeah, that's definitely cool.
I wanted to circle back to GUI. 13 partnerships announced in the month of May on
go,
top of
Haley.
what they already had, on top of anything that's going to be coming out. Aptos Summer is coming. Also wanted to talk about shrimp. They had another massive burn. Massive burn. Minglet's still going live. Barbecue first edition has concluded, and we're waiting to see where that is going to go. Rue has a whole bunch of alpha coming. I am not at liberty to discuss said alpha, but watch out for some announcements coming from Rue in the next probably week. That's all I got. Don't listen, Atreyu, don't start with me.
Okay. All right. You know, I mean, let's talk on, really quick NFTs. Wapple and the Loonies, those guys came out throwing a reveal, which was freaking
we have a post for that.
Yeah, I got it, pinned it. So we just pinned a tweet for the mesmerizing line work for the Loonies and their initial reveal, and I guess in the same stride there, we'll pin to the top little hype for the Pixel Pirates as well with their first reveal. Very exciting times for some of the NFT projects I think we've been talking about on Aptos After Dark for quite a while now. So great to see some of the reveals come in and the art sneak peeks come into life. We already touched on Hue, which is freaking super exciting as well.
Shout out that Petra Red Edition is very dope. I'm a big fan of that.
Huge fan. Huge fan.
Talking about NFTs, be remiss if we didn't talk about Hero Labs and the pivot they've made with the comic book. Ooh. And how that's essentially going to be a medium for the Aptos ecosystem to expand into a broader market.
Love to hear that. I'm going to just pin a recent one of their posts to make sure we can highlight them. It's more of a partnership announcement. I'm not going to lie.
Make sure you pin so much stuff to the top, please.
Oh, I'm pinning, dude. Don't worry. I'm going. I'm going, dude.
I see Pixel Bits first 10K.
Yep. Pixel Bits absolutely crushing it. They're days away.
Oh my God, that's this week, isn't it? That's Friday.
Let's freaking go, Denoche.
Yo, that's Friday.
Yo, boys.
Yo, give us the rundown. Mint's on Friday. This is the last After Dark before Mint. Hit us.
Yo, I didn't want to chill. I didn't want to.
You're not chilling. You're sharing. Yeah. Let's go.
Yo, Pixel Bits is going fucking crazy on Wapple. It's gonna be a slow and steady Mint. It's gonna win the race. It's gonna be fun, dude. I don't know. I'm just excited. We've worked on this art for 6+ months, so 250 plus 1-of-1s we cooked. It's next level, dude. It's fucking awesome. I'm just excited.
Hell yes, so excited for this. Man, it is good points, Sneezy. Last space, at least After Dark.
June's gonna be a busy month, dude. A busy month. Like
I'm very excited.
Next week we're gonna be talking about Loonies. The week after that, who knows? We could be talking about something else. Maybe the week after that.
Yep.
There's no pressure, but we want a mint date.
You and me both. No, I'm just kidding. Wait, what? When mint date?
Just kidding, my ass.
Draconia?
Yo, I want to mention too. I am dropping a white paper for Eon Labs, a little forever paper, which is gonna be super cool. I'm cooking. I've been cooking on the past few days. I've been a little quiet. I've been cooking.
Yo, Denoshi. It's a bit gonna be like whitelisted, or is there gonna be a public?
Yo.
There's whitelist in public, but it's super high supply. I don't anticipate it to mint on the first day. If it does, something went wrong.
How can we get whitelisted if we're not whitelisted yet?
Basically, if you hold one of any project, you're whitelisted. So we're taking a snapshot on the 5th. If you hold one Mingo, Maverick, Spook, Monkey, That's Wild, anything. Basically, almost anyone on Aptos is whitelisted if you hold an Aptos NFT.
Yo, it's a good thing Thursday's payday.
Let's go. Man, I am so pumped.
Bro, June's gonna be a rough month.
It's gonna be a fun month. Don't
Yo,
kid yourself. Let's
it's
freaking
okay.
go.
It's okay. I loaded up in May on ramen. We're good to go. Ready for June. I knew June was coming. I know what Aptos summers are like.
I've been preparing.
Yo, the mints are awesome though, dude. But hey, dude, I know a lot of these mints are also cooking shit. So it's gonna be awesome what comes from all of these
Dude,
things. The new
you,
eyeballs coming in, the new people.
bro, you literally gave me the bullet points of what Rift could possibly be, and what was my literal reaction? Like, I want to be a part of this. Like, I want to help with this.
Bro, I was literally just gonna message you too and be like, yo, what are the features you'd want? But yeah, no, for sure, I'll send you a message, dude.
Not,
Building with and for the community, different. It's just different over here.
dude, like, and that is why I want to help with Rift, is because I see the power of that in the community. Oh, I don't know how much you're allowed to say, but you should give whatever you're allowed to talk about Rift.
No, yeah, because
You should give
so
whatever little tidbit you can give about it. You
here's the
should.
alpha. I think a lot of us are friends online, and as this grows and just gets bigger, and the more time we put into it, the more of us are gonna want to like meet in person and like connect in person and do things along those lines. And I think Rift is that perfect medium where like X is not the place where you go and DM someone to hang out. And it's very open world. It's like you see shit about anything and everything, and where Rift is going to be very catered to like connecting people, and making meetups happen and making and giving people time and to kind of actually plan for these things. A lot of these things are last minute or even 2 months to a normal person is kind of last minute. And so we're just easing all of these problems that we see in every day, and I think that's the beautiful thing. We see problems and we're going to fix them. And yeah, dude, when I told you Rift and you loved it, it just made me love it even more. I think it's a genuine thing that is going to help connect millions of people one day.
Dude,
Not going to be easy, but going to be worth it.
I think of in this space alone, like there's Angel is involved with Toronto DAO. I hope I'm not doxing you and saying that. I'm pretty sure that that's public knowledge. But Angel's involved with Toronto DAO, and they do in real life meetups. Rift is the kind of tool that they need, like somewhere where they can post in advance. We're doing a meetup at X location, and people can verify through holdings or what have you, whatever that ends up looking like. But just being able to confirm interest and knowing that these events are going on is huge. Because I've literally told Angel, like, if I know when you're doing a meeting, I will book a day off work to drive down and go and do it. Like, and I don't think I'm alone in that, where people, if they knew that these events were happening, putting that little bit of effort in isn't so bad. It's what, like you said, when it's last minute, when it's like Saturday and the event's on the Tuesday, it's like, okay, well, I could have made that work if I had even 2 weeks heads up, but I can't do that on 3 days notice.
That's no, that's a good point, because as of now, right, like some of the sites that I access for events are sites like meetup.com or like Luma, and those sites they're not specific to like blockchain or anything like that, and they also probably don't have some of the features that Denoshi's thinking about with Rift. So yeah, I'm very curious to learn more about Rift over time and see what it can do and what the features will be with it.
Yeah, no, just awesome, dude. I'm telling you, I can't wait to share more about it. We're on like our second iteration of the concept, and yeah, dude, I don't know. I'm just excited. I think it's gonna be awesome. The profile, the customization, the meeting, the connecting. It's gonna be amazing. And like I said this before, we're not taking over. Like we're not building a social media. It's not a social media. It's not the next big X as of now. Who knows?
No, it's basically like
But
like I think of it as kind of like a meetup board. Do you know what I mean? Like just a place where I can go and look and see what meetups are happening in the Web3 space.
yeah, 100%. And I think the things that are cool too is like imagine Denoshi's having a coffee shop meetup once a month or whatever
Dude,
you throw
you
on.
motherfucker. I'm sorry. I don't mean to cuss in my own space, but you motherfucker coming in here shilling my own idea to me in my space. What the fuck?
You asked for the alpha, I
Yo,
gave him
he
the Sneezy alpha. But
literally,
no, dude,
yo, he
it is
told
an
me,
amazing idea.
yo, dude, I'm not even kidding. Exactly. Like, hey, the third Friday of every month, I'm gonna be at this Starbucks. If you're interested in Aptos, come by, have a coffee. Let's chat. I think if you have, there's enough people in this ecosystem that if there was a board where people could find these meetups and plan them even a little bit in advance, yeah, it's
And
going
you
to
could
be,
follow people and get notified when they host events.
yeah,
And
like, yes, okay, for the first little bit, it might be me sitting at a coffee shop, sitting around for an hour, waiting to see if anybody shows up, and nobody might show up. Ape will attest to this. That's how him and I started in this space, was just doing this shit because we wanted to talk to each other and we wanted to talk to other people that wanted to talk about the shit we wanted to talk about.
yo, crazy. I literally, this whole idea came to me by Ape inviting me to Michigan and hanging out with Sneezy. I was like, I've had more fun here than I've ever had at any crypto event where there was tons and tons of people and music that you couldn't hear people. Like, Ape's event was how crypto events is like how I see them and how they should be. And so, like, I literally got the whole idea from Ape, basically.
Oh, shout out to that dude. I'm a big A person like you fan.
Right, and he did it on Twitter. So, like, and obviously it's possible, but it's a lot of hoops to get a bunch of people together and notify and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So,
No, and
yeah,
that's
dude, I
just
think it's
it.
gonna be
Like,
awesome.
and like maybe you have settings where like someone like me who's much more comfortable can host an open event. But if you're somebody who is unsure about this and only wants to host it for their friends, that's where you get into having the blockchain as an asset. Like someone could say, I want to host an event, but only for somebody in the Maps community, or only for somebody in the Monkeys community, or only in the Mingos or insert community. Do you know what I mean? Like it's taking that, it's really the prime use case for having a fucking NFT is membership to a club.
I think it's awesome that you guys all
Oh,
came
hey,
in
person.
September. Hi, how you guys doing? Figured I'd say hi again. I was eating some food. I fried up some potatoes and some mushrooms and some sausage together, and it was pretty good. But no, like for me, like I said, like September last year was like I've been talking. Well, I was talking to you guys, and then I had just become familiar with the Noshi, but like I found out he was close. I realized he was a cool dude. And like the thing for me was I've been talking to Sneezy for like a year and a half at that point, almost every day. I had to shake this dude's hand. Like I had to hug this dude. And the same with the other people that I invited. I had been talking to him for years in the Discord and on Spaces, and like we all felt like, hey, we need to go somewhere and do something, but where are we going to go? And I kind of just threw out the idea, hey, just everybody can come to my house. It's it's not a mansion or no shit like that, but like the most important thing is that we'll be together, we'll be here, and we can share stories and have a good time. So happened to be that week when everybody came, there was another crypto event that was happening in town, and some of us went to that and made some more connections with some other people, and it was just really awesome. But like I said, for me, like this is all community, and I had to have a place, where I wanted everybody that we could hang out together. I didn't want it to be expensive for anybody, just in case, everybody has different financial whatever systems or whatever, and so I invited everybody here, but the most important thing was I wanted my family to meet these guys. I wanted my family to meet Sneezy. I wanted my wife to meet Sneezy. I wanted my sons and my daughters to meet Sneezy and all the rest of the guys, Denoshi, who came because like I spent a lot of time talking to these guys, like almost as much time as I spent with my family, and so like these guys are my family. But when they came and my wife and kids and everybody met everybody, dude, they can't wait for this year. Like they're already talking about what can we do, what's going to happen, and it's awesome just to see my family get excited for these people that I so happen to meet in a thing called Twitter, and we all buy NFTs. Like it's just amazing to me. Like I say, you never know where this world or this life will take you, but keep your eyes open, man, because and your head up because if you're looking down at the ground, you're going to miss a lot of those opportunities. Like I said earlier in the space, I thank Sneezy a lot for introducing me to Aptos and kind of like hey, check it out. And then, I'd be like, yeah, cool. And then, hey, you might want to check this out. And yeah, cool. And then I did check it out and I was like, hey, dude, this is really cool. He was like, yeah, I've been telling you this shit for months. Like, you got to come over here and check it out. And so, dude, it's just community for me. And that's like, I just feel like Aptos is a community focused blockchain. It's not one NFT, winner. It's everybody wins together because we're here for each other, and it's just it's beautiful, man. This doesn't happen everywhere. I'm a 45-year-old dude, and I can tell you how many times I felt this comfortable being around people that were like all over the world. It's just fascinating to be here. It's amazing. It really has. The space in general has changed my life.
Yo, I gotta shout Brent out. He's a goddamn legend.
Is that how we end it? We ended with shouting Brent out because I think Brent's the man.
Yo,
I would agree. Angel and Brent, those
I gotta
two dudes.
Yo, they quietly advancing. Like, you see me, you see Atreyu, you see a person, you see Dr. Wulon, you see Denoshi, you see Pecker, you see Julie, you see Serene, you see Bubba, you see all of us out here hosting spaces. People like Angel, people like Brent are the people that are there quietly behind us, pushing us, giving us the support that lets our cup overflow and lets us share this message and share this abundance. And that's why I shout out the Aptos Collective, because I know, Angel, you're a huge part in that. Shout out to Alex and Max. But what you guys do to involve the community and give us that enhanced platform, kudos to you guys. Yo, what up, Denoshi?
Yeah, I just want to say too, like as a builder, like I genuinely, I experimented a little on Solana, came back and we never left really, but at the same time, I just want to like notion that I would not be building here if the people above me weren't so amazing and Mo and Avery and Angel and they're truly like different. Like I don't know, I've talked to a lot of different ecosystem people, but like it's more of like a good luck kid, out there when it's random people, but it truly feels like a family. Like with these guys, it's really different. Like, we needed an audit for the Sparks thing, and that's my biggest thing. I've been scared to drop it because I didn't want it to get messed with by all these shitty people. And instantly, you have Brent messaging me to message Zach, and then now I have a call with Zach, and we're getting it audited. And like, it's just the way shit moves on this blockchain is truly different. Like if I was on Solana, it would have just been like, oh yeah, who knows? Talk to this guy, maybe he'll reply. It's like. It's truly different over here, and
No,
as a builder, I would not be here if it wasn't
they
for those
lead the
guys.
lamb to the slaughter. You get led to their buddy that's going to charge you $18,000 to run an audit on your contract, is what happens on other chains. Like,
Yeah,
it is what
I
it
don't give them
is.
always
Like, it
flowers,
is what it is.
out loud, but they're great. They're solid people. Like I wouldn't want to build anywhere else, to be honest.
It is different, man.
Let's go.
Are you driving again, Denoshi?
Yeah, in the country.
This is Aptos, episode 17, coming in fire. All I'm going to say. What an absolute legendary episode. Shout out to everyone that's been up here hanging out with us. Everyone's listening. Everyone's listening back. Like Alex, I mean, absolute legend. That was incredible. And then everything we just rapid fired through, and the good energies as we're coming to a close here, that I gotta say, like, is incredibly true. And I think everyone has a unique story to share, and maybe that's an entire space that we even consider as just that unique perspective of Aptos, that is that abundance mentality and that feeling that I think a lot of us do have here in some essence. I don't know, but seriously, this is episode 17. I felt it coming in, Sneezy. I think we said it, and I'm walking away being like, wow, it actually exceeded expectations for me personally. So,
dude, this was a banger. This was a banger.
It was.
I'm gonna hit him with the full fucking thing, because we didn't reset once. I'm gonna hit him with it, and then we're gonna end it.
Go for it.
If this is your first time listening back to one of these spaces, we do this every week. We do our best to recap everything that is going on in the Aptos ecosystem, from DeFi to NFTs to gaming, which we completely spazzed on this week. Shout out to Undying City, Convival, Super V Labs, Aragon. Didn't mean to pass you guys over, just was an epic space we didn't get to you. I'm sorry. But that's what we do every week. We try and highlight everything going on in the Aptos ecosystem. You can listen to us back on Twitter. You can listen to us back on our YouTube channel. Most important thing, none of this is financial advice. We're just a bunch of cool people, air quotes, hanging out with other cool people, talking about cool stuff going on in the Aptos ecosystem. Never financial advice, but if you do have any interest in anything we talked about tonight, get a Petra wallet, get involved in the ecosystem, follow everybody in this space, and have an awesome freaking week. We'll see you tomorrow, 12 p.m. EST, Spooks Space. Tomorrow night, 7 p.m. EST, 8%. Talk about it Tuesday, and we'll see you back on Wednesday. Have a good night.